Today let's talk about video cables, the cables that connect your front and rear cameras. Hi everyone, Jeremy here for BlackVue, and today we are going to talk about all the video cables that connect the front and rear cameras in the BlackVue camera systems. So in this video I will go over the roles of the video cables as well as the different types and length available. I will also mention their main characteristics and limitations. And finally, I will talk about the Elite 6 Gbps cables that were introduced with the new Elite series models. So first of all, let's go over the roles of the video cable. What does the cable do? First function of the video cable is to power the rear camera. Indeed, the front camera is the one receiving the main power, so you don't need to separately power up your rear camera. All you need is to connect the coaxial or analog video cable, and the front camera will power the rear camera that way. So that was the first function. The second function of the video cable is to carry the data captured by the rear camera over to the front camera where everything is recorded on the micro SD card. So what are the available types of video cables? First of all, you've got the analog type. You can see this video cable looks a bit like a headphone jack called the TRRS video cable. These analog types of video cables are used in models such as DR590X and their predecessors. The second type of cable is coaxial. You can see this coaxial video cable, also called RG174. It's a thinner cable with better shielding, so it's better suited for our high-end models, and that's the main cable that's been used in BlackVue models for the past 10 years. Additionally, you have these special purpose cables for the truck models that we have. This is the truck rear camera, which is waterproof, and you can see it has this special connector here that's waterproof, whereas the front camera connector is the same. Now let's talk about available cable length. These are the lengths that you can find on the BlackVue online store. It goes from 1.5 to 15 meters. If you buy a dual channel dashcam, generally it comes with a 6-meter cable if it's a front and rear dashcam. If you have a front and interior dashcam, it's gonna be a 1.5 meter cable. And then if you have a box model, all the cables are generally 6 meter lengths or 19.68 feet. What are the main characteristics of the BlackVue video cables? Well, first of all, they are very thin, usually around 2.8 millimeter in thickness, meaning they are very easy to run throughout your vehicle, hide under the headliners, and tuck in the little spaces all the way to the back of your car. So they're very thin and very handy when it comes to DIY installation, while maintaining high quality of signal. So what are the limitations of video cables? Well, it comes down to the length. The longer the cable, the more interference will happen. And what can cause interference? Well, usually that's electromagnetic or radio interference. That's the main source of interference. But there's also interference that can be caused simply by damage to the cable itself. If the cable is crushed or if there's a sharp bend, that can also attenuate the signal. And finally, corroded or loose connector will cause the signal to get weaker. So what can be done to reduce interference? Better shielding of the cable. Better shielding means the way it's constructed, the way it's made, the material used to isolate the signal inside of the cable itself, so there's as little interference as possible. The past video cables, whether the analog TRRS cables or the coaxial cables, were suitable for use with dash cams, with the rear camera being up to Full HD 1080p resolution. In the case of the coaxial video cables, those were rated for data rates of up to 3 gigabits per second. That was sufficient to carry the signal from the rear camera being Full HD to the front camera. However, with the introduction of the Elite series dash cams, starting with the Elite 8 and then the Elite 9 and 10, we introduced higher resolution rear cameras with resolution of QHD, HDR, as well as 4K. And these higher resolutions require higher bandwidth. Hence the introduction of these Elite 6 Gbps cables. In order to spot the difference between the 6 gigabits per second cable and the older cables, you can see the little 6 embossed on the connector. So aside from this little 6 on the connector, it's really hard to tell the difference, but very subtle, but you can feel that this cable is slightly more rigid than the older 3 Gbps cable. And this gives us a clue as to what is different in its construction. And as I mentioned earlier, it's all about better shielding. So the materials and the shielding inside of this cable is of higher quality, enabling this higher bit rate. Therefore, if you're upgrading from a former non-elite model to an elite model, make sure to install this new 6 Gbps cable. So that's it for this video about the BlackVue video cables. I hope it was helpful to you. You can find all the available cables on BlackVue.com, and we'll put the link in the description below. Now, if you have any questions, make sure to post in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.